So this is what I'm doing today, is labeling and connecting parallel all the small cell wires first before I do the mains. If there's a problem, I want the small wire to take the problem, not the big wire. Obviously you can transfer a lot more current through the big wire than through the small wire. If there's a problem here, it just goes zip. You probably find out in less than a second. So yeah, this is pretty much, so that's my main negative, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm just covering them up as I go. It's kind of good that I didn't need that extra one there. It kind of was, it's a little tight in here, and it's only a BMS wire, so it's a much smaller connection on this side, so it'll be all right. Yeah, the customer's little, what's all the wires doing? I'm like, they'll all be tucked away and zip tied at the end. It just looks a little weird right now. That's all. Yeah, I'm getting through it. And once I zip tie everything, it'll be much better. Like, there's lots of room to zip tie, and I'll make it all nice and pretty at the end. I just, there's no point of doing it before. It's gonna make it harder to do. So yeah, really happy how it's going. And I looked at the specs for the Tapcons. One can hold 220 pounds into 1 inch of block. So I looked at for hollow block, and I'm actually in the web of the block. So 1 inch in can hold 220 pounds, and they say only use 25% of that in case of impacts. So impacts can increase your load up to 7 times. So there's no impacts on this system. And I also got 40, so 25, so we'll say 60 pounds. 60 pounds at, or not even, 55 pounds per one. So I got 40 in there. So 40 times 50, there's at least 2,000 pounds there of capability. And like I said, it's only 300 pounds, so we're good. Yep, and I'm just gonna go with that the way I'm doing it. Every time I do 4, it's nice. I just put the plastic cover on, and then it's safe. It is a little sketchy trying to get from here to here without, I haven't shorted anything, and I don't plan on it, but it does seem like it's a possibility that you could short something during this. And since I'm going in order, it's only, 3 volts, so it isn't a massive amount, even though everything is totally identically balanced. So I don't want to knock anything out of balance, which that's what will happen, is you'll knock it out of balance. So anyways, thanks guys. Let's keep on it. And today I'm gonna get rid of this black wire. It's for the transfer switch over there from the generator. It's like a sense wire. So it's just got tiny little wires in it. So 2 of them are supposed to be 12 volt, and then 2 of them are supposed to be 220 or whatever, 240. Where I only need this one. We're gonna get rid of that transfer switch over there, because this has its own transfer switch. And that one out there, the one that existing transfer switch, took 15 seconds to actually get power back. This is 16 milliseconds. So we'll keep it on standby mode with the AC on, input on, and then when it senses that there's no input there, it'll automatically switch over. So it's pretty good. We can do bypass, or we can do on, and then we can go off. This is the output, and then this is your DC side. I'm also going to put in DC breakers for this. And I've come up with a better idea for the cover. I'm going to do a 4-piece cover, a 5-piece cover, sorry. We'll see, 3 or 5. See what the benders can do. So I'll come down, up, and then down. I'll weld nuts on this lip, And we'll also have to do another bend down, like an inch and a half, inch and a half, inch and a half. Straight cover on this one, and then I'll do the exact same on this. I'll do a drawing for it after and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But yeah, hopefully I can get rid of, hopefully I can get this hooked up. I wouldn't mind getting the BMS plugs hooked up today, and I wouldn't mind running the AC wires back and forth and maybe get them plugged into here. I got the knockouts. We're just gonna go into these little holes. We're gonna use this, so it'll 90 over. I'm gonna go behind and then just through here with the AC wire. So we'll go that way, and then the other one will go that way. And yeah. And then for this cover, since it's going to be a pieces, like a piece cover, not a full one piece, so I'll come out to here, and then you'll have an open, I'll just put a flat plate on the front, but then I can do proper wiring, or like a conduit that's permanent there, and hit the knockout with the conduit and tie it into the case as well. That'd be much nicer. And I could probably also do this here as well, and then all the wire can just run back and up through here and down to the negative, and then to the positive down there. So I think it'll be better. And then you just take the cover off if you need to do something in there. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna keep going here. Got a few more to do. It's going pretty quick, so anyways, thanks guys. There's the BMS connections done. Everything is all in place and labeled. Minus is number 4, and then I just wrote on there all the numbers. Positive, negative. Straightforward. Nice. Makes it a little neater. I got the zip ties on the stuff where it needs to be. No wires hanging over the front. I think it looks good. Not to mention the BMS is going to cover it all anyways, so this will just plug into the BMS. Yeah. The BMS will cover all that pretty much. And the plugs will go in there. There will be an angle that goes in here. Actually, I might not even have to put that angle on there because I'm going to do like a separate piece box that goes around it. So this will be one piece, that'll be one piece, that'll be one piece, the bottom will be one piece. But I can do my negative connection, or my positive connections, join everything to this fuse on this side here, and then from there we'll go that way. Yeah. And I can also, I should have put the power for the screen in there, but I don't know how long of wire I'm gonna need to go all the way up. Not sure if I'm just gonna drill a hole in the case and come up this way, or if I'm gonna have to go all the way around and come up this way or this way. So I'll leave it like this for now. I could do the positive connection in there. I do have all the lugs for the positive side. They're all right here, these 3. We'll go on to there. And then that'll be ready for the 2-aught. And really, I'm only gonna need about 4 feet of 2-aught to go across there, up to there. Can start knocking these knockouts out. I think next I'm gonna figure out the AC wiring. Yeah, I got temperature sensors to do. I'm only gonna do, you know, just do the tops, and I have 1 in the case and then 3 on each pack, or 1 on each pack. So there's 4 sensors. Here's the sensors. I believe they go into here. then this is my power. I do have a momentary switch for the power. Yeah, that'll be the BMS complete. I got a couple more. I don't know what all these things are. I'll have to see which plug goes where. We do have a plug that goes into this guy as well. This is the screen. So we need power and we need signal. Yeah, we'll see. Got so much to do. Anyway, break time. Thanks. So we got the wires all set up, the ins and outs. I got the lightning protection. This is the DC lightning protection, so it's on the DC side. And we're all connected up here. And I gotta remove this one still. And yeah, I can start doing some DC stuff. I'm actually wanna hook these up, get these wires run into place and start moving around and knock out these knockouts here. And yeah, just getting her done. Pretty straightforward. I don't mind doing the wiring part. It's pretty easy. Just the lifting of everything is more tricky. But I can put that cover on now. We're all set up there. And yeah, just it's very straightforward. It's and red to red, black to black, white to white, green to ground. You know, it doesn't really get that much easier. We're getting there. Anyways, thanks guys. Oh, another day in, a little bit closer. We got pretty much all the AC, everything hooked up in here. I got the DC panels, the batteries, the controller to the battery. I got, yeah, the panels. The panels aren't hooked up out there yet, but they're all hooked up in here. So this will be the controller on off. This will be the panels on off. And yeah, I'm just using this as my main bus bar. It does go to the bottom side of this breaker, so you can still charge and have the inverter off. And yeah, so I'm gonna figure out something with the cover. When I put the cover on here, I might make a flat piece that just comes right across here, so it kind of covers all this stuff. I'm not going to be able to fit a wire tray in here, so yeah, I still need this lug for this one. I didn't get to the positives on there yet either, but I did get all that complete. Got that complete, all this complete. I got the number 8s run across to the main. I didn't get it hooked up into the main or the sub panel yet. That'll be another day. I'm hoping the owner of the place will be here when I do that, so I do need to shut the house off, and I'm gonna have to remove the old transfer switch from the Generac. And I got this guy in here waiting to go in. Yeah, pretty much just the basic little stuff. The batteries are all paralleled now, so everything is almost ready to go. Do gotta do the BMS connections here. I gotta figure out which lug is best suited for this. I just want one lug on each, so, or one lug with both of these into one lug, so I'm gonna figure out. It's only an 8 gauge, 2 8 gauge, you know, so for a 300 amp controller. I know it's 200 Celsius wire, but you know, what kind of coating are you gonna put on that's gonna handle 200 Celsius? You know what I mean? The shrink tube? Nothing. So it's gonna have to be a bare wires going on there. But yeah, quite a bit done today. Lots of wiring. This is all closed up. Pretty much just gotta do my 2 mains, and then this can get closed up here. One more ground. I gotta put a ground wire in, and it will go just to this ground. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I don't know. I don't really like having the AC ground and the DC ground tied together. Just something about it that doesn't, I don't like it, but whatever. It is recommended. I did disconnect the ground here, so the battery negative will not be part of this ground. I don't mind grounding the cases, but I'm not putting the battery negative on there, so yeah, that's just my preferences. So I'm pretty much done for the day here. It was quite the day. Got quite a bit done. Give me a quick look in here. All my wiring all lines up. Everything's zip tied. Going where it's supposed to go. This is the PV positive. Comes from outside. So I didn't want to go down here on this side. This side's a little more hidden, so it keeps it kind of hidden better. Whatever. And all this is all kind of neatened up a bit. It's not prettiest, but like I said, this is getting a solid cover on there, so you won't see any of it. It'll just be a white box on the wall. Yeah. Yeah, pretty happy. Anyways, thanks guys. Have a good night. So, we are turned on. Well, the inverter hasn't been turned on. The AC side over in the next room isn't connected. So it's just bare wires, so I don't want to turn it on, obviously. And all my 2-watt cabling is all connected. The BMS, the weak spot here. They put 2 number 8 wires, but they got a 200 Celsius rating on the freaking wires, so I do not ever want to see wire getting up to 200 Celsius. That's just stupid. But to me, I just left them bare, so they're bare 2/8 wires, so 8-gauge wires, double 8s. Down here I got a 250 amp fuse, just protecting the wire and the total system. 2-watt wire should handle it, no problem. The 3 number 4 wires should handle well above 300 amps, so wiring is protected. I'll send a picture of the state of charge and the balance of the cells. Yeah, and I need to knock out the 2 knockouts for these breakers, label them. I've already turned on the controller. I've already programmed it how I want it. It's set to charge to 49 volts. And I've got the float set to 48 volts, but it will also rebulk at 48 volts. So it'll just keep cycling between 48 and 49. So that's good. You know, I set the absorption time to 0, so you get about 1 minute of absorb time, and then it will just say fully charged, and then it has to drop down to 48 before it will charge again. So yeah, like I said, the BMS is the worst part of the whole thing here. I do have the cables, those 2 go to a momentary switch, which will be probably on the case or on the wall here somewhere. Once I get this square made around here, then I'll be able to put that into there. So you just push the button to turn on the BMS and hold it to turn off the BMS. Yeah, you can see this light or this is on already. I have to put a ground from here to the ground still. That's what I'm doing next. So I'll turn this off. I have to put the LCD in there. Got it here. I'm gonna just lop off these wires here, and then use my own insulated, some kind of tech cable, and you know, just a coated wire, and make my way through here somewhere. I didn't bring it. I forgot to bring it. And I'm gonna do the temp sensors right now. I got the soldering iron heating up, and I got all the wires and the sensors here. So one temp sensor is gonna be just on the pack, and then, or like in the whole bank, and then one will go in here somewhere, one will go in here somewhere, and one will go in here somewhere. So we'll have each temperature of each group, and we'll have the temperature of the total case. Best I can do. It is kind of Chinese equipment, so there's not much I can do about it. And yeah, and then still gotta hook up the solar panels outside, and I gotta hook up the AC, but I also have to shut the house off to do that. So I want to organize it a good time with the owner to do that. I know this is the issue right here, is a lot of water goes into this hole. That's why there's a sump pump, and this is what this whole system is built for, is that sump pump, to keep that from flooding the basement. So what we're gonna do once we get this all on, we'll set it on standby mode, and we'll keep the AC on from the grid to the inverter, and then once it feels that there's no power going from the grid, it will automatically do the critical load panel. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just tying everything up. I want to get the BMS all closed in. I want to get the sense wires on there. I don't know what I'm going to do with those yet. I could actually just pull it right now and leave it on, so nothing will happen, or I can turn it off and it will cut the power to this as well. I would like to get it charging. Would be a good idea to get it charging. We're at about 50% capacity in the cells, about 44 volts, 44.5 volts, so yeah, lots to do still. Little stuff. But the main part's done. I do have to get the, you know, the AC side connected sometime soon. But yeah, I really dislike that freaking BMS setup there. Not sure what the best thing to do is for that. Obviously those copper bars in there can handle a heck of a lot more current than that number 8 wire. But like I said before, it would take so much to make that fail, the wire actually fail. It'd be outrageous. So anyways, thanks guys. I'm gonna get this thing wrapped up. Alright, bye. Just a quick look at how I'm doing these temp sensors. So I put heat shrink on both wires first, then I put the heat shrink on the positive, and I use a little bit of acid compound here, and then I solder them both together, then I heat shrink the red one, and then I slip this on both of them and heat shrink it down, and that gives you a finish like this here. So it is separated and in a single form, so pretty easy. Anyways, thanks guys. There we go. So this is temperature sensor number 4 in here, temperature sensor number 3 in there, temperature sensor number 2 in there, and number 1 will be just right here at the top of the pack. It will just collect the air in the whole bank. And yeah, the picture's in there. So everything's at about 23 Celsius. This temperature sensor is at 25. And if you hold it, you can watch it go up. So everything is pretty good so far. Yeah. It's actually starting to look a little crappy outside for weather. Not sure what I'm gonna do, but anyways, might have to take a quick rip home and get the wire for this, because I want that installed. And I can start with, I gotta take measurements for the cases, I gotta pretty much do everything here still. Just, we are running. And I still gotta do this wire to the ground. So yeah, other than that, looking good. Anyways, thanks guys. I got the controller set to 5 amps to charge, so that's pretty much what we're doing. We're almost at open voltage, making 230 watts. I did take a picture here to show you that the BMS is very close, and we're charging right now. It's just low, but I'll probably set it to 45 amps to hit max, so we'll never overdo this, but I think we got about 1400 watts up there, so just like to give it a little low charge at first. I would like to discharge a bit too, but we still don't have this part hooked up, so yeah, going up slow. Anyways, thanks guys. So there's the panels all hooked up and nice and level and flat. Up here I got the wire coming in a conduit, and then it goes above this light through the roof down inside the building down, and there's a emergency disconnect in there. I can show you that. That's just the same as what I have at my place for pretty much an air conditioning disconnect, where I pull out, and it's 60 amps, so we're only doing about 20 through here max. Really it's only about 8.5 per 3, so at 100 volts, right? So, and it is an overcast-ish day today, cloudy, so we're not really, actually I got it only set to do 5 amp charge, so we're going up very slowly on the first few cycles. No reason to rush it. So yeah, everything is pretty good. I got all the wire off there and everything, so anyways, thanks guys. There we go, we're up and charging. I've got the controller set to 5 amps, so yeah, we're doing 5 amps, 230 watts. We're almost at open voltage. And up here we're doing 5 amps. Now the only thing I don't like about this setup is I can't get in to push the screen. You can if you stick something in there, but whatever. So we'll only be charging to about 49 volts. And I still don't have this guy on tomorrow morning. We'll get that set up. Yeah, so we're getting there. And I'll put this on once, like I'm gonna have to disconnect the negative and positive when the cover goes on. Yeah, and I may redo this negative wire and give it a couple extra inches, just because I don't like how tight it is. And yeah, that's about it. So other than that, we're looking good. The high cell, low cell, We're 0.003 apart. Pretty good. Pretty happy. I'm just gonna let this kind of charge. We're already starting to, we were starting to see some clouds, which was good, putting in less than 5 amps, so we're holding all right now. And then after we let it sit for a bit, I will turn it up. And then tomorrow I'll get to turn this guy on and program it. Yeah, we're doing all right for now. Anyways, thanks guys. Probably another week or so before I get the cover around the box. Gotta take some measurements and then get it sent out. Pretty much have to measure it tomorrow, and then I'll cut the pieces I need and bring the pieces to the shop. It's only going to be one piece that goes here and one piece that goes here that needs to get lips put on it, and then that'll be a flat piece, and a flat piece across the cover. Cool. Thanks guys. Here we go. We are all set. So we just did a transfer. So right now everything is on standby. We're not pulling anything from the batteries, and we are charging at 2 amps from the solar panels. And yeah, so we are 0.005 volt spread between the high and low cell. So we're alright still. I got it set for 0.1. It won't run if it's past 0.1. Do want to check for heat in the BMS. Doesn't seem like it. I did see 180 amps on one of our transfers, which did hit an overload AC fault on here, but it went back off quick. So if we dump the power right now, it'll start going right off the battery. And I'm not charging from the grid. If it's below 48 volts, it'll want to charge from the grid, and there's no need for it. So we're charging from the panels. And yeah, 48, I've got everything set to the lowest, so this inverter will only charge the batteries up to 48 volts. The charge controller will charge up to 49, and once we get it worked in a little more, yeah, we'll up it. And then we'll do some testing. But for all the tests we've run so far, everything is working a-okay. Now I did notice we didn't, the logging didn't save from yesterday. For some reason. Day 1 it didn't save. Today. Yeah. Anyways. So we did hit 880 watts on there already. But I had it up to a higher voltage. Sorry. So everything is going pretty good. It is about to rain out there. We're supposed to get rain all day, so we're not probably going to get too much for charging. Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. Yeah, what do you do? Man, I gotta get my measurements and start building the box around it. And that's what I'm going to do now. Take measurements. Anyways, thanks guys. So, coming up on a full charge here. Only pulling in 80 watts. It is a pretty crappy day outside, again. Yesterday, sitting at 5 amps. 5 amp charge max coming off the controller. We did 2.1 kilowatt hours. So, it's only 250 watts. So, for 8 hours. It's pretty good. And then we did a kilowatt hour the day before that, so We're only about 3.5 short, and we're only charging to 92%, so around 49 volts. And it really shouldn't be on for very long. I think it's set to 0.1, so it only should do about 5 minutes or something like that. And then we can try and take some power out. Yeah, the BMK would be good to get for this. Then it would give a much more accurate battery reading. Here's the flashing we put on, just a quick little flashing. It will keep, the wind is actually blowing this way, so it'll keep the wind from catching the lip, and it will also keep the rain and snow from going in this way as best possible. We may cut these off still, but already the panels are directing the wind up, so looks pretty good. I'm gonna give them a quick clean, and then we're done up here. Thanks guys. So we're taking about 22 amps, but I think this is different because it's at 48.3 volts, 22 amps, and this is at 49 volts. You know what I mean? So there's a bit of discrepancy between the two, but I did see this hit over 20 amps already, which is about 1100 watts out of 1400 watts, so which is pretty much getting to the top of the rating of the panels of what we got. We're only taking 2 amps from the battery, which, you know, 12.1 and 4 is only, you know, 17 amps, 16 amps. This is saying 22, so there's some discrepancies. It's very cloudy outside too. It is starting to brighten up a bit, but it's not a beautiful day out there by any means. Very windy as well. We are running the house right now on solar, or the sub panel. There's 19, 20 amps right there. I think we're only going to see maybe up to 30 amps off this, so it's not a huge thing. There's 1200 watts. we just hit absorb too, so it's gonna back itself off until something else kicks on. Water pump kicks back on again or something, or some pump. It's probably just the, I think we got 2 freezers, a fridge, a water pump, 2 water pumps, and all the lights. So, we're in the pluses. Up here we're in the plus, so we're actually charging the battery now at 315 watts going into the battery. Which is, like, see, this is only doing 16 amps, and this is saying 22, so there's some discrepancies between what's coming in and what's going out. Like, we're doing plus 3 and 18, and we're taking 22, and we're still putting into the battery, so wish I could calibrate everything to match is what I'd like. I may look it up and see if I can do that or not. Same, we're putting 5 amps into the batteries when we're doing 21 amps and 21 amps going out. There is no AC on right now, so it's not making much sense. I'm gonna do some math and see actually what we're taking. There's some losses through the equipment as well, so there will be some discrepancies just from that alone. This is a big transformer, single transformer based inverter, so it could be using up to 100 watts in use. And yeah, everything takes a little bit of power, but at 19 amps going out of the controller, we shouldn't be doing 2 amps going to the batteries when we're taking 21 amps, 22 amps going out of the batteries. So it doesn't make sense. But this is just telling what's going through to the AC from the DC. And I've got the controller on the bottom side of the breaker, so it'll just go this way or this way. So we could just be feeding straight into the inverter, and then the access will go back down into the BMS, which that's where you get your pluses on there. So, not to mention we're hitting full charge. Oh, we're starting to balance too. It must be, no, now it stopped. It's got to be 0.005 apart. So we're 0.005. So 0.00 sticks. It'll start balancing. You can actually hear it balance when it starts balancing. And I believe it has to be under 15 amps going to the batteries to even balance, so everything is doing fairly well. And the panels are reasonable, you know. It is a cloudy day outside, so I'm not expecting to get the maximum amount of power going through the panels on a cloudy day. And we're pretty much doing 1,000 watts out of 1,400, which is pretty good on a cloudy day. reasonable. Everything is working well. Another thing I don't like about this is if it's below 48 volts and the AC comes back on, it'll automatically want to charge. So you have to actually turn the charger off physically to make it stop charging, but it will stop at 48 volts. So right now, if it flipped over, it wouldn't charge because it's above the threshold. And as long as this is set higher than this, it'll prevent this from charging when this is above 48. So pretty nice to watch. I like watching it all. I'm glad it's all working properly. I do have one issue with this. I set my absorption time to 0 or 0.1, and it's let me absorb for over 15 minutes already that I've seen, which is not correct. I'm hoping there isn't a problem with this controller. As it's going for now, it's okay. I see him hit the balance again. So we're right on the threshold for balancing the way I've got it set. And you know, they're balancing now. So everything helps it out, right? Yeah, see, we're 0.6 and now we're 0.5. So when it hits 0.6, when it hits 0.6, then it starts balancing between the high and the low. So we're only 0.4, 0.5, 0.6 there. Now we're balancing and then it stops. So it is kind of keeping everything in check too, and we're only getting 3 amps going to the battery, so a little bit of balancing will smooth it out. And if it gets too far out, it will automatically balance at night or something like that. So everything's doing what it's supposed to do. You probably have one low cell because everything's coming on. There's a pump just came on there. That's this sump pump just came on. So we're doing 42 amps, and we're doing 1,000. So we should be taking 20 from there, but we're only taking 10. So there's almost 10 amps discrepancy for some reason here. 20 and 9. Now we're in the pluses. Yeah, it's a little weird. That just kicked off. So. Must be that fan winding down that makes a little kind of whine. Not the but there's like a kind of a whine in there. Sorry. Switch into absorption here shortly if we stay going 20 amps. We're at 49, so it's got to hold 49 for, I don't know, a minute or something before it kicks in. And then it shouldn't absorb charge for more than, I would say at least no less or no more than 10 minutes, and it should flip into charged, fully charged. But obviously if it keeps flipping back to 48.9 and up to 49, it's not going to flip over. But Video's getting long.